Good morning everyone, my name is Chrissy and this is Everyday Tidbits. Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is a recipe compilation of all the recipes that I have made for the month of September. A few of our favorites, I should say. So let's get right into it. My daughter loves a taco ring. This is her favorite meal. It's so easy to make and I figured that I would just make it for her one night. So we're going to start out by sauteing a pound of ground meat. You can use turkey or you can use beef. You can add an onion if you want or some peppers, whatever you'd like. But I'm just going to start out by doing it plain because that's how she likes it. I saw this little trick on another influencer's channel where you just push around a paper towel to absorb the excess grease rather than having to drain it with that hot grease everywhere. So that's what I'm doing, and then I'm going to add a packet of taco seasoning and mix that into the meat. Before assembling our taco ring, you want to make sure that you let this meat cool off some, because if you don't, when you add it to the taco ring, it's going to make the crescent rolls all soggy and mushy. I like to use a circle-shaped pan to make this. You can also use a pizza stone. That works as well. I usually spray it first to make sure that nothing sticks, and then you can use a small bowl or a ramekin in the middle to help keep your shape. Then you're going to take your crescent rolls and unwrap them individually and line them up, overlapping them, all facing the same way. I am using 2 packages of crescent rolls. You can find them in a 2-pack usually. It's okay if they hang over the side. I'll show you later. You're going to need that extra dough for tucking. Once you have your crescent rolls all lined up perfectly, you're going to add your cooled off ground meat to the middle, evenly spread out throughout the ring. The next step is to add some shredded cheese. I had this Mexican blend that I had bought for this, but then I also wanted to use up the rest of this mozzarella cheese that I've had in my refrigerator before it went bad. You can also use cheddar, that would also work. Any kind of cheese of your preference, just spread it evenly over the meat mixture. Now you're going to gently remove the bowl or the ramekin from the middle so that you can tuck in that extra dough that's hanging over the sides, over the ring, and underneath the middle. Now we're going to make an egg wash to brush over the top of it. What we're going to do is mix 1 egg in a bowl and then add a splash of water, which I forgot to do, but that's okay because it worked out just fine. So you're going to scramble your egg and then you're going to use a brush and lightly brush it over the pastry dough. This is going to cook in a 375 Fahrenheit degree oven for about 22 minutes or until your pastry is browned and the dough is cooked all the way through. The next meal I have for you was just a really easy and simple quick brunch idea that I made for myself after I worked out. I'm just going to do some sauteed asparagus in a pan. I'm going to start out by cutting my asparagus into bite-sized pieces. Then I'm going to saute it in a pan with a little bit of avocado cooking spray and just add some seasonings. And I'm going to be serving this with some poached eggs. In my opinion, there's no better side dish to any meal than just a plate of sauteed vegetables, whether it's asparagus or green beans or Brussels sprouts. All you need is a little bit of olive oil, salt and pepper, or whatever seasoning of your choice, and it makes the most simple and delicious side dish. I have had this egg poaching pan for I can't even tell you how long, but it is amazing. I love it. I will try to find one similar and link it in the description box. It just makes cooking a poached egg so easy and you don't have to worry about breaking the yolk. Okay, so I'm back from my walk and now I'm going to be making some breakfast. I'm doing some poached eggs in my little poached pan here. Eggs are 0 points. I'm doing some sauteed asparagus and just a little bit of avocado oil. That will also be 0 points. And then I'm going to put some roasted red peppers on my plate and I'm going to drizzle the top with salsa con queso. 2 tablespoons is 2 points, and that will be a 2-point breakfast for me. The next meal I have for you is an air-fried turkey breast tenderloin. This is so delicious and so easy to make. I usually marinate my turkey breast tenderloin in the Lawry's herb and lemon garlic marinade. It's, very simple to do. We're going to start out by preheating our air fryer, and when it's ready, we're going to spray the basket with some cooking spray and then add your turkeys in there. We're going to start out by air frying them at 390 for 20 minutes on the first side. After your 20 minutes is up, we're going to flip over the turkey breasts and then put them back in and air fry for an additional 15 minutes or until your internal temperature reaches 165 Fahrenheit. Now, after they're done, remove them to a cutting board. I like to tent them with foil, or in this case, I covered them with my dish, and then let them sit for at least 5 minutes before cutting, and that ensures that they will be juicy when you cut them and that the juices will not run out all over your cutting board. This turkey tenderloin was so juicy and delicious. Even my young daughter loved it. She is a picky eater and she ate all of it. So I wound up serving it with some air fried Brussels sprouts, and how I did this was I tossed them in a little bit of olive oil after cutting them in half and removing all the yucky leaves off of it. I added some seasoning and then I air fried it at 400 degrees for about 10 minutes, shaking the basket in between. The next meal I have for you is a super easy Instant Pot shrimp boil. I wanted to use up ingredients that I already had on hand in my pantry and my freezer, so I came up with this. I was craving a shrimp boil. I had some shrimp in the freezer. I had a couple potatoes, so I'm going to start out by cutting some potatoes into bite-sized pieces. I had 2 red potatoes on hand, and then I'm going to cut a lemon into fourths. I had frozen corn in the freezer, so that's what I added. You can also use fresh if you have it. And then I put a couple cloves of garlic and some chicken broth, some Old Bay, and then I used some turkey kielbasa that I had in the freezer. And that's it, guys. Super easy, super delicious, and very quick. You'll notice that I'm using the steamer basket. This makes it easy at the end to drain off the liquid and to pour into a bowl. So everything is going straight into that steamer basket. I put it on a plate so that if anything defrosts, it's not going to get all over the counters or the stove. Since I am following the Weight Watchers lifestyle, I am using turkey kielbasa to keep the point values down. You can use regular kielbasa, sausage, chorizo, any kind of sausage that you wish. You can use chicken sausage, whatever. It all works in here. So just make it your own choice. So I'm just going to be adding 2 cups of chicken broth into the Instant Pot before I put the steamer basket in. I am using Old Bay for my seasoning, and I'm just going to season every layer in between with a little bit of the seasoning. If you like it spicy, add a lot. If you don't like it as spicy, just add a little bit, but just be careful because it is spicy. And since I am using frozen shrimp, I'm going to add it in with everything else and then cook it for 5 minutes on the steam function in my Instant Pot, and then I'm going to do a quick release at the end. If you're using fresh shrimp, you're going to want to cook everything first and then add your shrimp afterwards and then steam it for about a minute. When your time is up and you have done that quick release, you're going to strain the liquid through that steamer basket and then dump it into a huge bowl. And there you go, guys. There is your easy, super quick, and delicious shrimp boil in your Instant Pot. Next meal I have for you is by far my all-time favorite crock pot meal. It is Mississippi pot roast. We're going to start out by adding a 3-pound chuck roast to your slow cooker. You can sear it on all sides first, but it is not necessary. I was crunched for time today. I had a lot to do, so I just wound up throwing my roast right in there without searing it. Then you're going to add 2 cups of beef broth. I am adding a pound of baby potatoes into my roast. Sometimes I make mashed potatoes on the side, but I am using these baby potatoes because I thought they were so pretty with all the different colors. But anyway, if you're using whole potatoes, you want to cut them into bite-sized pieces. If you're using the baby potatoes, you can throw them right in. So we're going to use about a pound. Next, we're going to add some garlic, and you guys just measure that garlic with your heart, however much you like. I like a lot of garlic. You can never have too much garlic. Then I'm going to put in a small jar of pepperoncini, the whole jar with the juice, the peppers, everything. If you like it a little less spicy, then don't put as many peppers or juice in it. However you like it, that's how you make it. Next, we're going to add 1 packet of au jus gravy mix, 1 packet of ranch seasoning mix, and then 1 packet of Italian dressing seasoning mix. The original recipe calls for an entire stick of butter to be put on top before cooking, and man, that makes a difference. It really does. It's delicious. It makes it so rich, but I'm trying to slim the recipe down, so I substituted, I can't believe it's not butter, and I put 3 pats on top, and it was still really good, guys. It was delicious. So you want to cover this and cook it on low for 8 hours, and this made my house smell so good all day. Like I said, one of my favorite meals. The next recipe I have for you is another version of the 0 white chicken chili. I actually added a lot of vegetables to this one to beef it up a little bit. We're going to start out by dicing 1 red onion. Now I'm taking a pound of chicken breast and I'm cutting this into bite-sized pieces. You can use chicken thighs as well, but keep in mind that chicken thighs are more points, so you would have to account for the points, and it will no longer be a 0 chicken chili if you did use thighs. But if you prefer thighs, that works as well. I am using a pound of white meat chicken breast. Next, I'm adding 2 cans of cannellini beans to your slow cooker. You can use any other kind of bean that you want, but I find that the white cannellini beans are mild in flavor and they work really well in this dish. I'm also adding 1 pound of frozen butternut squash because it's fall time, guys, and I wanted to add a little bit of fall flavor to it. Also, we're going to add some garlic. And guys, once again, I love garlic, so you just add that garlic with your heart, as much or as little as you prefer. Next, I'm adding some Italian seasoning, some chili powder, and some cumin. I am not measuring it. It's not exact. I'm cooking this dish with my heart. So you guys, it's up to you how much you want to add and how bold you want your flavors to be. Our last step is to add 2 cups of chicken broth. I'm using 2 cups of water and 2 teaspoons of bouillon powder, whatever you have on hand, guys. Then you're going to cover it and cook it on high for 6 hours. I realized that I had the zucchini in my refrigerator that I was about to go bad, so I decided to add it into my chili. In my opinion, the more vegetables in a chili, the better it is. It bulks it up and gives it that extra volume without adding a lot of calories to it. So with this giant zucchini, I just cut it into bigger pieces so that it wouldn't get mushy, and I added it into my slow cooker. Since I added a little bit more volume to my slow cooker, I did add some more seasoning so that way everything can be balanced out with the flavor. Here's what my chili looked like when it was done. It was so delicious, and I topped it with some cilantro and some fat-free Greek yogurt for no additional points, and this was so good. I'm gonna make myself some lunch. What I did was I took a package of white button mushrooms and I cleaned them, and then I took the stems off so that way they are like little containers. And then I'm using the Trader Joe's spinach and kale Greek yogurt dip. And this is 1 point for 2 tablespoons. So I'm gonna measure out 4 tablespoons in this little container so that way I know that I'm not going over. And then I'm gonna stuff the mushroom caps, and I'm going to put them in the oven. I'm gonna use the conventional air fryer setting in my toaster oven, and I'm gonna do 450 for 10 minutes and see how they come out. I'm sorry, we're gonna do 400 for 10 minutes and see how they come out. I'll just keep an eye on them. I've never done this before. I saw this in like the Connect on the Weight Watchers app. Somebody had made this, so I'm just gonna try it and see how it comes out. And here's my mushrooms. I actually added 5 more minutes to the cooking time. I did 400 at 400 degrees for 15 minutes, and they came out really good. They're delightful looking. I tried to sprinkle them with everything but the bagel seasoning, but it didn't stick. So next time maybe I will try putting the seasoning on first and then cooking them. But I think they're lovely. And if you make a whole batch of them, like, they'd be perfect to put out as an appetizer if you're having a party or something. And now I just have a few lunchbox ideas for you. I am making a savory wrap and a sweet wrap for my daughter's lunch. For the first wrap, I am spreading a tortilla out with a thin layer of cream cheese. Then I'm adding 2 slices of Velveeta cheese and some ham and some shredded carrots. Now, how I wrap this is that I wrap it in a piece of wax paper, and then I tape the edges on both ends, and then I cut it down the middle, and I'm putting it inside of a container. And now for the sweet wrap. I am using this apple corer, which is amazing. I got it from Pamper Chef, and I'm going to core and slice half of my apple into very thin pieces. With the other half of my apple, I cut it into slices, and I made a snack plate for my daughter that she could have while she's upstairs doing her homework. So we're starting out this sweet wrap by spreading a thin layer of peanut butter on our tortilla, and then we're going to layer the apples and sprinkle it with cinnamon. In my daughter's lunch, I always pack a sandwich. She has her water bottle. I usually put something sweet in there, like cookies or a snack of some sort, and then a bag of chips, and always a piece of fruit, whether it's an apple or a banana or something like that. final recipe that I have for you today is a crock pot tomato meat sauce. This is the first time I have ever made sauce in my crock pot. I usually cook it on the stove in a large pot with lots of meat in it, but I was pressed for time today. It was a busy day and I'm trying to keep this lean, so I'm not putting as much meat as I usually do to keep the points down, and I'm beefing it up with some peppers and onions. So we're going to start off by dicing an onion and dicing a green bell pepper. This vegetable chopper makes my life so much easier. It makes everything uniformly sliced, and it's just a game changer for me. I don't know if this particular one is still available, but if I can find it or one similar, I will link it in the description box for you. Next, we're going to add a few cloves of garlic. Again, measure the amount of garlic with your heart. I love a lot of garlic in my sauce, and I always wound up adding more during cooking time. I'll stir it, I'll taste it, I'll add salt, I'll adjust the seasonings, but usually I'm adding a ton more garlic, and I find that the more garlic you add, the less salt that you need. Now I'm just going to cook some ground beef. I am using 96% lean ground beef to keep the calories and points down for the Weight Watchers program. You can use full fat meat, you can use turkey meat, you can add ground chuck, you can add ground sausage, you can add whole chuck, you can add sausage, any kind of meat that you want to this sauce. That's what I usually do. I'm usually adding 3 or 4 different kinds of meat to my sauce, but like I said, I'm trying to keep the points down, so I'm using the 96% lean ground beef, and then I'm just seasoning it with a little salt here. I do like to season the layers as I add them, and then once your meat is cooked, you can add it into your slow cooker. Next, we're going to add 3 cans of crushed San Marzano tomatoes to our crock pot and all of our diced peppers and onions. Next, we're going to season our sauce with some salt and Italian seasoning and basil as well. I also added 3 ounces of tomato paste, which I forgot to film. That was added later. I do not measure my seasoning precisely. It's different every time. I just kind of add it. And then as my sauce is simmering throughout the day, I'll take the lid off, mix it, taste it, adjust my salt, adjust my garlic, adjust my seasoning. And this is an ongoing process as it cooks all day. Initially, I placed the lid on my pot and I set it to low to cook all day for 8 hours. Throughout the day, I noticed that there was a lot of liquid in the pot, and I do like my sauce a bit thicker. So as the day went on, I did put the lid on cockeyed so that steam could escape. It was still cooking, but it wasn't completely sealed, so that way it was able to simmer and the water was kind of evaporating off, and that resulted in a thicker sauce, which I love. So like I said, cook it on low for 8 hours, and this is what it looked like at the end of the night. It was so delicious. I served mine over whole wheat penne. 1 cup is 4 points for whole wheat penne, and then a piece of Texas toast, which is 6 points. And my serving of sauce here was only 2 points because of the lean ground beef, and it was so delicious. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate your support. If you could, please hit that subscribe button down below and hit the bell notification so that you're notified every time I post. Follow me on Instagram at everyday_tidbits and Facebook at everydaytidbits. I hope everyone's being safe, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Bye.